This is my final teaching. Illuminate the light within yourself. Be the light for yourself. Stay alert and practice the true path, focusing on your inner self. Turn inward and rely on your own essence. Do not depend on anyone else. Everything is impermanent. Anchor yourselves in the midst of all changes, and be diligent without laziness. Never give up. The highest truths are not found in the empty void, but within the hearts of each person. From the experience of destruction, one can perceive the eternal. In sorrow, one can find joy. Even in cruelty, there is humanity. In ugliness, beauty can be seen. The ignorance that obscures human vision must be broken down. When we shatter this illusion, all suffering and worry naturally disappear. Compassion and forgiveness emerge in our hearts, leading to awakening. The emotions of sentient beings are like music, and everyone should diligently observe and maintain the 5 precepts. Today, I urge you all to ensure that we care for our children with love and protection, and for the elderly with tenderness and respect. We must show empathy for those who make efforts, and act with generosity toward the weak, regardless of their faults. Remember, opportunities for kindness are everywhere in our lives. Sometimes we may inadvertently act wrongly in accordance with the teachings. If we regret such actions, we must constantly strive to correct ourselves. Our thoughts shape who we are. When thoughts are negative, they manifest in suffering. But when our hearts are oriented toward goodness, our actions create good karma, and happiness will always accompany us in this world. So, when facing life's challenges, what should we do? Let me summarize. There are 3 fundamental questions. First, do we love truly and sincerely? Second, do we live fully and meaningfully? Third, can we let go of everything? We exist to seek the deeper meaning of life. When we sacrifice ourselves, offering our hearts and minds, we touch the ultimate truth of existence. Life and death, like shadows, come together and then part. All phenomena are impermanent, so we should not cling to them. Just as a snake sheds its old skin to form a new one, so too must we release the past. Today, we have witnessed how small drops of water gather to form the ocean. There are 3 principles anyone can follow: a vast heart, kind words, and a compassionate nature that dedicates itself to others throughout life. These principles are the foundation of trust, which fosters love and kindness toward all beings, regardless of their status or wealth. Everyone experiences suffering in life, though each person's suffering is unique. Monks and nuns, today I pass on to you the knowledge I've gained. You must reflect deeply and carefully observe before applying these teachings in your practice. First, learn for yourselves, then share with others. From now on, you carry the heavy responsibility of spreading the ultimate truth to all beings. Do not accept anything as truth simply because I have said it. You must use your own wisdom and reason to determine what is truly trustworthy. All phenomena are impermanent. They are born and they die. You must always strive to break free from suffering. 3 months from today, I will enter into nirvana. Some argue that there is no self, and without a self, how can there be a life after death? You are right in saying that there is no contradiction. Life after death does not require a permanent self. Consider a mango. We take its seed, plant it, and it grows into a mango tree bearing fruit. This is like the continuation of life after death. The first of the 4 noble truths is that all of existence is suffering. The world is full of suffering. Birth is suffering. Death is suffering. But this is not a negative perspective. I do not teach pessimism. I show the way to end suffering. This teaching is about the cessation of suffering and how to achieve it. This is not about rejecting life, but about overcoming the false pleasures that bind us. The true path is one of courage and wisdom. In this vast world, we walk with the single purpose of returning to the root of life, moving with a mindful heart and body, as if stepping on the edge of a knife. A child who is not awakened can either elevate or harm their family. Similarly, a monk who is awakened can bring about the flourishing of the world. It is true that I teach the path of non-violence. Even soldiers who seek to fight for righteousness may still carry the burden of guilt. Non-violence, however, is not about eradicating violence entirely. It is through love that we can transcend it. This is the law of nature. All fear death, and when we understand that others share this fear, we learn to let go of violence. The long, dark night feels endless to the one who cannot sleep, exhausting to the weary traveler, and confusing to those lost in ignorance, unable to understand the true teachings. For such people, their lives will be filled with suffering and misfortune. One of the profound mysteries of life is the liberation from fear, free from anxiety about the future, no longer haunted by past sorrows, and without dependency or fear. The moment we stop reaching out for help is the moment we achieve true freedom. Please, guide us in understanding the most important aspects of life for lay people regarding marriage. Equality is paramount. A family thrives when the husband and wife love and respect each other. This harmony creates a thriving, vibrant family environment. Such vitality can spread, making everyone feel happiness in the world. The relationship between husband and wife should transcend physical and material desires. The wife is an integral part of the husband's life, and the husband should treat her with respect and honor, never causing her shame in front of others. The wife should embody the virtues of womanhood, and the husband must live up to his role, steering clear of vices. Every decision made by the husband should take into account the wife's feelings, for loving one's husband is the wife's responsibility. She should treat his family as her own, offering love and care for every member. The husband should respect his wife as a guest in his home, and they should trust each other. When this trust is present, the supreme truth will be with them. Lord Buddha, please teach us how to walk the path you have shown. We must surround ourselves with good people. Those who cannot focus on right mindfulness may become lazy and distracted. Creating favorable conditions for practice will purify the mind, keeping it free from distractions. Our work must align with the principles of the Dharma, regardless of the profession. Whether in business or in everyday tasks, we must first understand them clearly before dedicating ourselves to completing them. For example, cooking or boiling water should not be viewed as trivial tasks. Instead, see them as opportunities to care for oneself and one's family. We should never live selfishly. Happiness, success, and wealth should be shared with others. Avoid gambling and alcohol. A true person should be humble, polite, friendly, and honest. Whenever possible, support the monks and practice meditation to dispel worries and difficulties. Over time, the mind will achieve a state of profound peace. Remember, each morning as the sun rises, we must be aware of what needs to be done. This awareness is crucial. Many people forget to express gratitude. We must always be grateful for everything we have, just like the trees, flowers, wind, water, and air does not belong to us. Be thankful for all of it. When we live with this gratitude, we will attract even greater blessings. If everything in life were truly meaningless, wouldn't we all be sick? And if we were sick, death would no longer be far away, right? Gratitude is like a beautiful flower blooming in the world, enriching our lives. We are born into this world where all experiences are marked by suffering. The cycle of life and death is full of pain and sorrow. This world should be a place where we stop to rest from our suffering, and it is also where the awakened ones reside. However, the awakened must remain vigilant and not be lost. I often remind you that all things are impermanent. Life is a journey leading toward death. Coming together is simply a manifestation of separation. Just as large bodies of water eventually drain, death is what gives rise to life. Ananda, you have served me well, and I am deeply moved by your dedication. You possess many noble qualities, but you can still go even further. Strive harder to transcend the cycle of birth and death. The liberation of your inner self comes from growing through each experience of pain and suffering. You now understand these truths, and you will succeed. This is what brings me peace. Ananda, you possess 4 great qualities. Your words are gentle and always pleasing. You treat everyone equally, and your quiet demeanor and few words bring comfort to all. For all these years, you have served me without doubt. After my cremation, there will still be many tasks that need your attention. Remember, the path I have shown you is not about escaping life. I believe that people can change when they engage in meditation or when they abandon the vices of others. This hope is for those with noble hearts. The fate of humanity is determined by their actions. Ignorance creates suffering, grief, and delusion. Greed, pride, anger, envy, these arise from ignorance. These illusions will lead people astray and into harmful paths. Though they may be 2 different generals, life and death are not truly distinct. They are but 2 aspects of the same whole. Our perception is often clouded by misconceptions, which create obstacles in our lives. Once we remove these obstacles, our lives will become fully independent, free from dependence and unencumbered. The path of right understanding, right concentration, right mindfulness, and the 8-fold path can eliminate all misconceptions. I will reiterate this once more. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These are the key practices that can help us overcome all illusions. The long, dark night is an analogy for those who are sleepless, those on long journeys, or those living in delusion, unable to grasp the true meaning of the Dharma. For such people, their lives will be filled only with suffering and misfortune. Any knowledge, whether self-taught or learned from wise teachers, even the words we speak, should not be accepted hastily. One must use wisdom and discernment to examine, analyze, and test what is said. Lord, what if we encounter you on the path of truth? We should never rush to accept anyone we meet on this path. Even if we meet our own parents, we should not consider them our ultimate refuge. One must learn to trust in one's own path. You must firmly grasp your own life without relying on others. Through reflection and understanding, we must turn hatred into love. This is the fundamental principle. There are 3 things that can never be obscured by darkness: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The truth is never buried. If everything that is done by a teacher is in accordance with the need for liberation, then the teacher is intense in their pursuit of freedom. If a teacher feels remorse, they will endure inner suffering, desperately seeking to overcome this pain. Just as Angulimala could transform, so can anyone if they trust in the process of transformation. Those who wish to undergo a transformation must first attain self-awareness. If misfortune can be counted on 10 fingers, good deeds can be counted on hundreds. If our ancestors made mistakes and sowed bad seeds, the remaining years of their lives will sink like pebbles in the water. However, good deeds will float to the surface like oil on water. The law of cause and effect applies not only in this life, but across countless lifetimes. This body is not just for this life. After the body deteriorates, the soul continues to cycle through samsara, and the karma accumulated will carry over. We reap what we sow. Words, like sharp knives, can kill without being seen. Lord, when flowers bloom and the air is fragrant, the teacher's teachings and practices of the precepts also draw others in. These teachers now wish to repent and resolve the issue. We wait for your permission before allowing them into the monastery. Teacher Milana, you should let them go. These two teachers have dishonored the Buddha. Ananda, remember, never think you are being dishonored. The problem isn't that they offended you, but whether these teachers have truly practiced the path correctly. Sariputta understands the intent behind my words. When someone feels remorse, they must courageously admit their faults. This is the first step in correcting their errors. They must be careful in their words and actions. A monk should repent before others. Lord, grant your grace, for this dispute has disturbed the peace of the Sangha. Let us not allow this to happen again. Invite them here and arrange a proper place for their stay. I stayed at the abode of teacher Anura for a month, and he, along with his monks, is a shining example of compassion and friendliness. The coming months are crucial. I foresee a time when families will quarrel, when siblings will hate each other, when spouses will fight, and when homes will burn. People will harm each other because of race, language, and beliefs. This will be the cause of division. But through awakening, humanity can transcend these differences. We must set an example, showing the world how to live in peace as brothers and sisters, and break down the barriers of separation. Both teachers can reconcile now, and I am pleased to see that they have recognized their errors and chosen the path of peace. This sets a precedent for the Sangha to avoid disputes in the future. We will establish new guidelines, calling them the law of ending disputes. Teacher Ananda will explain these 7 rules to the monks. Monks, remember that doubt is a dangerous disease. It divides people and is like poison that destroys friendships. It is like a thorn that cuts to the bone. Never forget that our thoughts shape who we are. Lord, the teacher who practices the precepts speaks truly. I admit that I was arrogant and proud before. What the teacher says is absolutely correct, and I confess that I was envious of him. In this matter, I too am at fault. I ask the Blessed One for your compassion and mercy. I beg for your forgiveness on behalf of all of us. We are merely those who show the path to walk, yet when it comes to practice, we still struggle. Just like a spider slowly weaving its web, the natural world is created, weaving together the beauty of existence. The world's beauty is boundless and infinite. When our hearts desire something, we believe that achieving it will bring us immense joy. But when our dreams come true, we often find emptiness inside. Do you know why this happens? The absence of desire is like dreaming of something, and when that dream is realized, it no longer brings the joy we expected. Life, like flowing water, leaves us empty, and we realize that nothing in life is certain. Isn't that true? Yes, indeed. Let go of the illusory desires of the world and forget about the cycle of life and death. These do not bring us any benefit. Even if you fear the disappearance of life, first deny its existence. Look for a deeper self hidden within. As so many people in the world suffer because of material things. They live in poverty, deprived of food and clothes, enduring all kinds of injustice. Many also suffer mentally and emotionally. When you wish to leap into the depths of the unknown, why not pay attention to the beautiful scenery around you first? Anything excessive, even joy, eventually leads to suffering. Thus, we must stay grounded in the middle way, seeing things clearly and attaining an unshakable peace that lasts for eternity. We often look at others and criticize their wrongdoings, believing that scriptures or learned scholars can cleanse their sins. However, we must acknowledge that the root cause of all faults lies within ourselves. We are the ones who can open the door to liberation. If someone wants to cross a river, what should they do? If the river is shallow, they can wade through it. If it is deep, they must row a boat or swim across. But if a person refuses to wade, swim, or row, what can they do? They can only pray for help. Yet, if they pray for the riverbank to appear under their feet, they are behaving foolishly. The same goes for those who, instead of using wisdom to overcome desire and ignorance, simply pray and perform rituals. Such people will forever remain stuck. They will not be able to cross the starting line. The ground is our foundation, and the sky provides us with space to move freely. Our bodies are within it. But what is truth? Truth can only be realized through self-experience, by understanding oneself and having no desires or attachments. By observing and maintaining balance, you will not perceive the existence of things as separate or distinct, like how the weather changes or leaves fall and wither. Can we perceive this truth? Certainly. Wisdom is ever present, just like the sun, moon, and stars. The supreme truth is within reach for everyone. It is attainable through enlightenment, as I have experienced after overcoming intense trials, desires, anger, delusions, greed, and hunger. All these things appeared before me, but my heart remained unwavering. I vowed that, no matter the sacrifice, I would realize the ultimate truth. Finally, I have attained it. Please teach me the path to attain such virtuous wisdom. All things in the world are interconnected, like an invisible thread we cannot see. If you act virtuously, like the waves rushing to shore, over time, your good deeds will follow you, life after life, until the day of your awakening. On the other hand, if you engage in evil deeds, you will endure the consequences of suffering and degradation through many lifetimes. Please, Buddha, I beg you return my son to me. Save him from this pain. Yes, I can bring your child back to life. But first, you must do something. Go to any house in the city and ask for a mustard seed. But remember, it must be a house where no one has ever died. Yes, I will go right away. I will go immediately, but remember, the house you ask for the mustard seed from must be one where no one has ever passed away. Excuse me, can I have a mustard seed? Sorry, I have some mustard seeds, but my family has experienced a death. My parents passed away 6 months ago. I'm sorry, I cannot give you mustard seeds from my house. Everything in this world is born and eventually dies. It is the natural law, whether old or young, wise or ignorant. Everyone must face death. If I had told you this earlier, would you have believed me? The moon rises in the sky like the supreme truth. Each night it grows fuller, and after reaching its peak, it wanes until it disappears. But it never truly vanishes. It only moves beyond our sight. The same is true for your child. He has not died. He is simply living within your heart. Yes, calm your mind, and you will understand. The nature of life is like a shadow, constantly following us. The cause of suffering is clinging to external conditions. When you understand that all things are impermanent, you will realize the key to liberation lies in the transformation of the mind. Whether sorrow or joy arises, maintain equanimity between both. Practice this, and the chains of suffering will break on their own, through the expansion of wisdom. You will understand that life, death, unity, and separation are not two separate things, but one. Master, we did not offer alms to the monks. Can we go elsewhere to beg for alms? Of course, but the reason the monks are going elsewhere is because people in the village have been mocking and insulting us. Not only that, but they also tease and humiliate us. Is that why the monks are angry? If the villagers came out with flags to welcome the monks, would the monks' hearts be filled with joy? Does this mean the monks would be handing over their inner peace to others, allowing external circumstances to disturb them, and pleasing others instead? If the monks still harbor anger, then they are far from realizing the truth. We understand now, Master, and we hope you will remember this. People are not easily receptive to new ideas. The monks are disrupting the beliefs people have held for so long. Naturally, they will not be happy with this. First, they will ridicule the monks. Then they may even become violent toward them, eventually ignoring the monks altogether. But gradually, they will come to accept them. The monks must endure this transformation, maintaining humility and patience in the face of such hostility. If someone always adheres rigidly to a certain set of principles, eventually, that person will lose their spiritual freedom, becoming rigid and inflexible. On the other hand, blindly following prejudices and thinking that one's own beliefs are the absolute truth, while rejecting everything else, leads to a complete loss of freedom in thinking. At this point, there is only a single viewpoint dominating the mind, controlled and conflicted with blind faith taking over. In fact, even people without any religious beliefs can become more controlled than those with faith. Thought is an immensely powerful energy. It can completely control you. When your thoughts are firmly fixed, this becomes the greatest obstacle to spiritual practice. If your mind remains shackled by these fixed beliefs, the door to the truth will never open. If everyone follows your teachings, will they still be restricted? Everything I teach comes from my own experience. My path is not about principles, not about scriptures or philosophies. It is about pure experience and perception. And that is the supreme truth. But Master, if someone views your path as just another set of principles, what does that mean? My teachings are meant for practice, not for idolization or passive worship. It is not about relying on others or simply admiring without applying the teachings practically. All of my knowledge is like a raft. This raft can help you cross the river, but once you've crossed, do you still need to carry it with you on your back? It becomes unnecessary. There is still a feeling that prevents me from bowing down completely. Emotions are divided into three categories: joy, sorrow, and tranquility. These emotions are always present in our bodies and minds, like waves that rise and fall, only to return to stillness. First, examine the depth of your emotions, understand them, and trace their origin. Whether they are joyful or sorrowful, find the root of these feelings. Once you find their origin, you will realize that everything is empty. This emptiness is like the vast blue sky, though it appears empty. It is filled with the potential for all things to exist. Continue practicing along these lines, and gradually the waves of emotion will subside, leaving a profound tranquility. The mind will no longer be disturbed. When you meditate deeply, you will see where you've been wrong. The hardest, most stubborn beliefs are actually the weakest, and ignorance is the root cause of all suffering. The clarity of mind we seek is only achievable through meditation. Meditation can dissolve ignorance. Without meditation, relying on rituals, ascetic practices, fasting, or other forms of devotion will not bring us the same results. Master, what have you gained from all of this? There is no victory, only loss. But why is that? Exactly. It is the loss of anger, the loss of greed, the loss of jealousy, hatred, and envy. I have lost all of these, and in their place, I have reached a state of peace and tranquility. You understand. My meaning is that I am at peace, correct? But you are still living in anger, aren't you? That is what you said. Anger will only bring you suffering. It may seem like a small dispute, but it can lead to great frustration, preventing you from reaching the truth. Disputing is just a way of protecting the self. The truth is that anger is like a flame in the palm of your hand. You want to throw it at others, but by the time you do, your hand is already burned. The attachments of desire, jealousy, anger, ignorance, and greed trap you. I am here to help you escape from them, to free you from these flames that are burning away your life. Many people perish because of them. The world is like a blazing fire, blocking the way, but there is a window in your heart always open, like a guiding light. If you listen to my words, those who come close to me will be safe. Follow me, and you will escape this sea of fire. The path to liberation is right before your eyes. Hatred cannot conquer hatred. Only love has the power to dissolve it. This is the natural law, Master. Please guide me on this path. Let us not cling to the past nor dream about the future. Let us remain grounded in the present moment, for in doing so, we will free ourselves from suffering, which may seem unbearable at times. Suffering arises from ignorance, confusion, and attachment to desires, anger, pride, delusion, jealousy, and fear. These all stem from ignorance. Illusions contrast with wisdom. Illusions have two opposing sides, but if we maintain the middle way, not swaying to either extreme, and refrain from excessive desires, we can remain centered. Once we realize that suffering is just an illusion, all our afflictions will naturally dissolve. We will then come to experience compassion and tolerance, both of which stem from the same essence. When we understand this, all hatred will vanish. Even when others treat us cruelly, we will be able to understand and forgive. Once the door of wisdom opens, all that remains is compassion in meditation. If distractions arise in the mind, wisdom helps us discern truth from illusion. By recognizing the distinction between self and others, we see that this very differentiation leads us astray. Humans are often bound by emotions, and greed is the root cause of our detachment from truth. From birth to death, we fear sickness and death, but this only deepens our ignorance and anxiety. Thus, we must eliminate all delusions. Once we step out of illusion, we will attain freedom free from constraint, pure, peaceful, and harmonious. The Four Noble Truths are the supreme truths. The first truth is that suffering is unavoidable. It follows us like a shadow. The second truth is the cause of suffering: ignorance, greed, anger, sorrow, worry, fear, despair, and self-attachment. The third truth is the cessation of suffering, which comes from wisdom, the realization of the truth about oneself and life. This wisdom leads to the cessation of suffering and the emergence of true happiness. The fourth truth is the path to ending suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path, nurtured by mindfulness and awareness, leading to concentration and wisdom, and ultimately to liberation from all suffering. So, what is this path? It is the Eightfold Path of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. By seeing things as they truly are, thinking as they truly are, speaking as they truly are, acting as they truly are, living rightly, and applying right effort, mindfulness, and concentration, we align ourselves with truth and virtue. Names are labels, but the essence and actions of individuals often do not align with those labels. As for you, your name has deep meaning. Anatha means poverty, yet you are humble and always use your wealth to help others. Despite the changes of time, your reputation and your deeds will never fade. Even though you live simply, with little, your love transforms everything into something beautiful. You can dedicate your soul and your wealth to others, and it all arises from your kindness. Left bracket music right bracket do not touch me, for even my shadow may make you unclean. But why should I be unclean? You and I are the same. How can the touch of one person defile another? It is only greed, hatred, ignorance, and desire that can stain a person. Someone with a heart full of love, like mine, only brings joy to others, not suffering. You may call me a charlatan, but if it brings you comfort, then so be it. But in truth, I am no different from you. I too have a life. If you look down upon me, you are deceiving yourself. The truth is, this is the path of our teachings. The earth nurtures all humanity and all creatures equally. If you discriminate against someone, you are also defaming the Creator, who made all of us. Just as the earth does not choose which tree grows or where the wind blows, we too should not judge. Nature does not discriminate, so why should we? You speak of righteousness. Why not allow this man to become a monk in your order? Your words are indeed wise. Sunita, do you wish to become a monk? You are a humble person, but are you worthy of becoming a disciple of such a great master as I? You are worthy, and your compassion is rare. This quality is precious in the world. I am Buddha, and I welcome you, Sunita, to become my disciple. In this life, no one has spoken to me with such kindness before. Today, you love and care for me in a way that makes me feel truly human. I hope I have not done anything wrong, and I will strive not to make such mistakes again. All people have the potential for great thought and must express their own potential. We must reclaim our dignity. My path is the path of love-respect for all beings. Just like rivers flowing into the great ocean, all paths lead to truth, regardless of their origin or name. Whether one is a Brahmin, a Shudra, or from any caste or background, in the end, all paths merge into the ocean of truth. Tares have the taste of plums, and all blood is red. Those who create false judgments to oppress others are also part of humanity. Today, I will erase all such false judgments. Sunita is the first example, the beginning of a new history. Life and death are natural in human existence. We must think carefully, awaken our true selves, and not succumb to desires. We must live a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment. This is the true meaning of life. The truth is neither born nor destroyed, neither begins nor ends. The only thing that remains is peace and stillness. Stillness, peace, and tranquility. You must remember that doubt is a dangerous illness that divides people, like poison that destroys friendship. It is like a sharp thorn that pierces deep into the bones. Never forget that our thoughts shape who we are. What we do is a reflection of what we think. Right thoughts lead to good deeds, while wrong thoughts lead to bad deeds. This is the law of nature. I have discovered the path to liberation, and now the door of blessings has been opened. This is the treasure that belongs to each individual. I wish to awaken those who are still lost in the darkness, to awaken their minds. You are the one who renounced the ascetic practices and claimed to have realized the ultimate truth, yet how can you be so certain? How can you continue to interact with ordinary people as you do? I once told my teacher that I would become the sharp point of a grass blade. My being exists in all things across the world, and I merge with them to become a perfect, beautiful, and pure entity. I am no longer the Siddhartha I once was. Look at me now through the wisdom of my teacher. All suffering, confusion, and anxiety arise from ignorance. Greed, anger, arrogance, jealousy, and fear all stem from this ignorance. Illusion contrasts with this ignorance. It has two opposing sides. The middle path is the balance that does not lean toward either extreme. We must not cling to either form or desire, but remain focused on the middle path. When we realize that all evil is just an illusion, then all suffering will naturally dissolve. In this realization, we will experience love and compassion. These two emotions are fundamentally the same. When we understand this, hatred no longer remains. Even when others treat us cruelly, we can empathize with them. Once the door of wisdom opens, what remains is only the heart of compassion. In meditation, when thoughts arise, wisdom can help us distinguish between truth and illusion. It helps us recognize the difference between ourselves and others, and that distinction often leads us astray. Humans are often bound by their emotions. Greed is the root cause of our departure from the truth, and from birth to death, we fear illness and death. Yet, such fears only amplify our ignorance. Therefore, we must rid ourselves of all illusions. Once we step away from them, our lives will be free from imprisonment. The Four Noble Truths are the most precious teachings. The first truth is that suffering cannot be avoided. It follows us like a shadow. The second truth is the cause of suffering, which arises from ignorance, greed, hatred, anxiety, fear, and attachment to the self. The third truth is the cessation of suffering, which comes from wisdom understanding the true nature of ourselves in the world. This wisdom leads to the cessation of suffering and the emergence of peace and happiness. The fourth truth is the path to the end of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path, which is nurtured by mindfulness, leading to concentration, wisdom, and liberation from all suffering. This path is the true path where our understanding, thinking, speaking, acting, living, and striving align with truth. By following the middle path, we will guide our actions toward harmony and righteousness. I am the enlightened one, and I am here to reveal the true path, free from asceticism. My mind is pure, and I have renounced all actions that harm others. I am learning how to protect all living beings. If you look with a compassionate heart, you will see that all beings wish to live. I must eliminate all cruelty. Humans are often unkind, and their hatred and ignorance fuel violence. Yet, even the most brutal of people still possess some inherent goodness. It is important to open your eyes and see clearly. If you practice mindfulness, you will understand that true transformation is possible. As I teach you. Know that even the most vicious among us can change, for anyone has the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. Angulimala, you can begin anew, not by continuing your destructive ways, but by following the path of compassion. The ability to change resides in you. You might feel your past sins are too great to overcome, but it is never too late to change. As long as you can recognize your faults, you are capable of transformation. This is the beginning of your new life, and through your actions, you will show others that redemption is possible. Remember, the truth is that all things change. Just as a snake sheds its skin, you too can transform. Even though your past actions may define you in the eyes of others, you have the power to begin again. I, the Buddha, have transcended the worries of the world, fear, aging, and death. I have conquered these because I no longer feel their weight. I understand that everything is interconnected, and that true peace is found through the middle path. As we walk the path of enlightenment, we must remember that our actions, thoughts, and feelings shape our destiny. Negative emotions such as greed, anger, and hatred will always fuel the fire of suffering, just as a flame spreads when fed by fuel. But when we eliminate these afflictions, the fire of suffering will burn out. For those who are caught in the pursuit of material wealth, they may feel that happiness lies in what they possess, but their hearts are filled with anxiety, never satisfied. True happiness is found not in accumulation, but in freeing oneself from attachment and fear. When one lets go of these worldly bindings, they no longer have to worry about the future or carry the weight of the past. This is the true liberation, living in the present with a steady heart and mind, free from desire. The middle path leads us to this place of true peace and happiness, where we are no longer trapped in cycles of suffering.